for other Russian dissidents.
In all likelihood, U.S. surveillance aircraft are indicating to me that we're watching Belarus enter the conflict later on today. So that means all sorts of updates coming as the day wears on. All right, everyone, drive safe in this water. Flood watch for Western Washington. Passes are closed. Thank you. China kind of buddied up for appearance sake 4 weeks ago with Putin. Yeah, we'll buy your natural gas. Salisbury, England, and his daughter. You know, they could have been killed in a failed mugging, or something like that. But that wouldn't send a message, now would it? The message is, you effed.
Look what I'm capable of.
Yeah, you effed with me. We exchanged you for a British spy, for a KGB guy that the Brits had. So that's one for one. And in the gentleman's game, you shake hands on the bridge on the way across, and then those guys are civilians from that point forward. They no longer spy, whatever. That's how those are the rules of the game, but not to Putin. Putin was like, no. No, you don't do that to the KGB or the FSB. He's dead. But he's not just dead. He has to be dead in a way so that all of Putin's agents, all of his FSB people know that he did that. The only way to do that is with a nerve agent that only Russia possesses, knowing full well that the English authorities would say, yeah, we'd never seen this before. Turns out it's called Novichok or whatever. In other words, he may as well write "From Russia with Love," on a bullet. That's why he does that. That's why Navalny, the one quote opposition guy, they use Novichok in their own country, and then he goes to Germany and recovers for 6 months. That's the message. Of course it came from me. I'm the only guy in control of the bottle of the Novichok. So that's what you need to know about his psychology, and suddenly he's no longer any different than any other potentate or dictator. But now he's using this language about the West and the empire of lies and the whole thing, and that's why I detect China kind of buddied up for appearance sake 4 weeks ago with Putin. Yeah, we'll buy your natural gas and all you can sell, the whole thing. But they're seeing that this war is not going the way he promised it would. The Ukrainians are not rolling over the way he promised they would, and that he's kind of getting crazy. And the Chinese and the Russians hate each other. And if I got to tell you right now, if I were Xi, I would take back the land that he wants from Putin is the land that the Russians took in 1945. He wants it back. He's going to get it back. He's looking at that and he's like, you know what? There won't be any sanctions. Never mind Taiwan. Taiwan is style points. We can do Taiwan in 5 years or 10 years. But right now, let's take what's ours. Putin is the weakest he's ever been in his life. I think if you want to know something about Xi, it would be if that happened, then you know everything need to know about Xi. That he shakes your hand, takes your gas, and he takes back several thousand square miles that the Russians took in 1945 when they kicked the Japanese out. So.
Putin's aspirations extend far beyond Ukraine. I listen to people like Gary Kasparov or other Russian dissidents that talk about his plan, and he's telegraphed it for years. American sentiment, as the polls show, want to support Ukraine more, but we still don't believe in troops on the ground in that area. Biden's State of the Union is going to be very interesting to watch tomorrow night and see if it moves the polling at all in either direction.
You think it's funny to be out of fuel? Maybe you left with Novichok MRE. All right. Well, big events happening on the horizon. Belarus is going to, in all likelihood, U.S. surveillance aircraft are indicating to me that we're watching Belarus enter the conflict later on today. So that means all sorts of updates coming as the day wears on. All right, everyone, drive safe in this water. Flood watch and rendered apart like Godzilla did it. But this is that moment a couple hours ago.
We are fighting just for our land and for our freedom, despite the fact that all large cities of our country are now blocked. Nobody is going to enter and intervene with our freedom and country. And believe you me, every square of today, no matter what it's called, it's going to be called, as today, Freedom Square in every city of our country. Nobody's going to break us. We're strong. We're Ukrainians.
And so just to put a fine point on the square that was targeted has zero military value. It's like shooting a missile at Westlake or Pioneer Square. And the square was called Freedom Square. That's the whole point. So that's what he's saying. Every town in Ukraine, every town in Eastern Europe has a square. If you've been there, you're familiar with most of Europe, in fact. So he's saying because of what Putin did today, every square is called Freedom Square. Kharkiv, by the way, Seattle's 800,000 residents? Something like that. Kharkiv is 1.4 million. It's almost twice as big as Seattle, and the Russian army is within indirect fire range, as we say, rockets and artillery, and Putin is just Aleppoing Kharkiv. If you didn't pay attention, when Putin said step aside to Assad, said I got your back, you're not going anywhere. It was Russian firepower that made Aleppo into rubble. And so that is what they're doing right now with the city called Kharkiv, which is the irony is that it's majority ethnic Russian, and most Russian is the most common language spoken in Kharkiv. In fact, people come from around the world. There's like 20 universities there, and some of them are in Russian for a purpose, for a reason. But so anyway, what a reporter said to Boris Johnson when we come back. She may know something that we don't know. A Ukrainian reporter confronting Boris Johnson. Like I say, I'm afraid she may know something that we're sleepwalking through. Back in a second, AM 770 KTTH. Brian Suits here. Producer Greg in there, and we'll get you to work with the right way traffic. AM 770 KTTH, Brian Suits here, and the weird like QAnon pushback, whatever you want to call it, is still going on. I watched a interrogation, a very cordial one, this morning of a Russian soldier, of the guy saying we were told that Zelensky surrendered and all this. That's all he said in a Muscovite accent. And I tweeted a link to the story, and someone replied, "Sure, that's totally a Russian soldier, right." Like you're really going to do an info op this big, where you take your own equipment and you destroy it, and I guess tow it around Ukraine or something. I don't get it. I just don't. But next hour, by the way, I guess not rambling. It wasn't a rambling answer, but the governor giving a misdirection of an answer to a question he wasn't asked about why not just end the mask mandate now. And so wait till you hear it.
Boy, when I told my kids yesterday, it's not going to be March 21st anymore. You're going to be able to remove the mask at school on March 12th. It was like I told them Christmas was 10 days away.
And this, by the way, that, I took that clip of audio. That's from the kids in that class in Las Vegas.
That's right.
Yeah, remember?
Yes.
And that was, so Nevada lifted it whenever, I got this 3 weeks ago. But you know what? You know what, though? They're having to dig mass graves in Las Vegas for all the kids, all the piles. They're having to burn the bodies like zombies or something. So anyway, we'll get to that answer next hour, because it's, I was over it a year and a half ago. But when people in Seattle, when very liberal people in Seattle are over it, even the mask, what did Obama say? People clinging, the clingers, the mask,
bitter clingers,
yeah, they're bitter clingers to the mask. Okay, so let me get to this clip. So this was Boris Johnson is in Poland. He's, I believe, Warsaw, and there's a bunch of Ukrainian journalists there, and one female journalist, and that's why you're going to hear a female voice. And her English isn't great, but she's trying to ask Boris Johnson just about direct aid and Ukraine, and what are you people not seeing about Putin? He's showing you what he is. And anyway, I'll let her say it.
So you are coming to Poland. You are not coming to Kyiv, Prime Minister. You are not coming to Lviv because you are afraid. Because NATO is not willing to defend. Because NATO is afraid of World War III. But it is already started. And these are Ukrainian children who are there taking the hit. You're talking about more sanctions, Prime Minister, but Romana Abramovich.
Just because what she said kind of jarred me and shocked me, I'm going to repeat what she's saying. She's pointing out that Boris Johnson's not in Kyiv and the other city, Lviv, is actually pronounced Lviv. I thought it was Roman numerals for 55 and 4, but no, it's a town. But it's pronounced Lviv. And so she says, you're not in Kiev, you're not in Lviv. And she says, World War III has already started, and you guys aren't seeing it.
So you are coming to Poland. You are not coming to Kiev, Prime Minister. You are not coming to Lviv. Because you are afraid. Because NATO is not willing to defend. Because NATO is afraid.
40 drivers on a good day. But you go to northern Italy, and you realize, man, there's something different going on. It's because all these snotty sons of oligarchs are bombing around in Lambos and Ferraris. And they're jackasses. They think they can ask any cop in Tuckvilla when someone is off the plane and they're in a car. How do they drive? They drive like an Adam Henry. You pull them over. What do? They wave $100 bill. It's a you can see it a mile away when you're around them. And it's the new money, the nouveau riche of Russia. And so many of them over the past 22 years are riche because of Putin. But I mean, you want to hit him directly. Yank the passport of his mistress, put her back on a Gulfstream 6 with the kids, right back to Moscow or wherever the hell she wants to go. And now you're recognizing, you're showing the Ukrainian people, we get it. We understand. We're not sanctioning computer chips. We're hitting these super wealthy where they live in their lifestyle. Like the dude that tried to sink the yacht. He got it.
This is how you prevent World War III. And who am I? I'm just a producer on the morning show here. But you get to the oligarchs, and yes, you make the people of Russia feel the pain of Putin's actions a little bit, because the best possible scenario long term here is that there's some kind of fundamental transformative change in Russia itself.
Absolutely. And this is where these sanctions that led to people around, going around the block like an old Soviet breadline for cash, and then the ATMs were running out of American currency. They're Muscovites. They're going to create the change. They're if Putin doesn't watch it, there's going to be a orange revolution like Maidan in his
Korea
in Red Square. Between now and then, though. The other thing that journalist said about NATO's trying to avoid World War III, you're in it. And that's what made me think, good Lord, is it September 6th, 1939? And no one knew that World War II had started? Back in a second.